This is a true story, something that happened to me personally. It's something I've never been able to explain, and it's haunted me for years. Even now, I still don't know how to describe the feeling it gave me. But let me start with the conclusion. I'm absolutely sure that my memory is real. Here's what happened. I had a classmate back in elementary school named Maggie Ma. Her parents were both former sent-down youth who had spent years doing labor work in Hanzhong, Shanxi province. So Maggie actually grew up there, and it wasn't until third grade that she transferred into our class. At the time, this kind of family background was very common. Almost every class had a few students like that. Maggie was tall and strong-looking, and her clothes were always a bit out of fashion. She also had a slight accent when she spoke. The girls in our class didn't like playing with her. Honestly, kids can be cruel. Being innocent and kind isn't always part of childhood. I happened to sit near Maggie, and I remember one summer she brought this military-style canteen filled with icy sour plum juice and let me have some. I can still remember the taste, sweet, tangy, and ice cold. I used to help her catch up on homework, and she wasn't dumb at all. She picked up Mandarin really quickly, and within a year, you could hardly hear any accent at all. We got really close. Since we lived near school, we often visited each other's homes. She even got to know the kids in my neighborhood, and I got to know hers. Life felt so easy back then. School wasn't stressful at all. Later, although we went to different middle schools, we stayed in touch. We still hung out most weekends. Now, here's where things got strange. It was fall, second year of middle school, early October. I remember it clearly. It was a Saturday night, and around 10:30 p.m., the phone rang. This was before cell phones, just a landline. Maggie's home didn't have a phone, so she called me from her dad's work number. We had caller ID, so I saw the number on the screen. On the line, she was sobbing uncontrollably, like she was falling apart. Through broken sobs, she told me that her mom had hanged herself. It happened in the basement of her dad's office. I jumped out of bed, threw on my clothes, and rushed out. My mom was worried and insisted on coming with me, said it wasn't safe for me to go alone at night. We ran through the pitch-black streets, barely able to see ahead. Maggie's dad's workplace. I'd been there before. He worked at the local sub-district office, which back then was just 2 rows of rundown single-story buildings, but it had a basement. That basement was used as a storage room, a duty office, a break room, nothing fancy. In those days, it was normal for people to live in their workplaces temporarily. Some even had showers there. If a man got into a fight with his wife, he might go crash there for a few days. Maggie's dad sometimes stayed in the restroom. I'd seen it before. Semi-underground, with a window halfway above ground level, a small room with a single bed and a table. That night, it took us less than 10 minutes to get there. An ambulance and a police car were already on the scene. Since it wasn't a criminal case, no one stopped us from going in. Maggie's mom's body was still there, in the small duty room where her father sometimes stayed overnight. She was wearing a Mao-style jacket and was stretched out on the bed. There were dark purple bruises around her neck. The rope she used was still hanging from the ceiling. Next to her was a handwritten note that simply read, "Living is worse than dying." That was it. Her suicide note. Maggie's dad was slumped over at the table, looking completely out of it. His coworkers had to help keep him upright. The man looked totally lost, completely gone mentally. Maggie was standing off to the side with this vacant stare. When she saw me, she ran over and threw her arms around me, crying uncontrollably. I couldn't hold back my tears either. I'd met her mom so many times before. She was the warm, talkative type, full of life. I couldn't imagine someone like her taking her own life. For Maggie and her family, this was a devastating shock, far worse than it was for me. We stayed with her the whole time, all the way until the ambulance took her mom's body away and the police finished their paperwork. After that, my mom and I walked back with Maggie and her dad to their home, which was only a few minutes from his office. I remember it clearly. We got home around 1 a.m. My mom was worried I'd overthink everything, so she slept in my room that night. But the next day, things got weird. Really weird. Since it was Sunday, I slept in until about 10. When I woke up, my mom wasn't home. I had a bite to eat and then went to visit Maggie. She looked exhausted, obviously hadn't slept all night. I told her, I knew you wouldn't be able to sleep, so I brought you guys some buns and porridge. I know your mom is gone, but you still have your dad. You must get through this one step at a time. Suddenly Maggie stared at me and shouted, "What? How do you know my mom died? Who told you?" To this day, I still remember that moment so vividly. I honestly thought Maggie had lost her mind, that the trauma had broken her. I told her everything that happened the night before. Then she said something that stopped me cold. She told me that things had been chaotic all night and that she never even had the chance to call me. She said her plan was to visit me later that day after she and her dad had taken care of a few things. She asked, "How do you know so many details?" Like about the note. I didn't even read it. The police took it straight to the station. How could you possibly know what it said? So the two of us started arguing. I know it sounds crazy, like, how could we argue about something like this? But we were both teenagers and neither of us would back down. We each insisted we were right. Her dad was completely out of it. There was no point in asking him. He was barely even functioning. What's even weirder is that when Maggie told me what happened that night, everything she said, from the moment the ambulance and police arrived, matched my memory. Exactly. Every single detail. That just made me more sure I had really been there. I remember every second. The phone call, running through the night, seeing the body, reading that note. How could I have imagined all that? Even stranger, when I got home, I checked our landline's call history. There was no record of that call, nothing from Maggie's dad's office. I asked my mom about it, and she looked completely confused. She said we didn't leave the house the night before. She said she only found out about Maggie's mom the next morning when I told her. After that, she rushed out with some money to help them. I described everything in detail, hoping it would jog her memory, but my mom just looked lost. She said, "Maybe you were so shocked by the news that you imagined yourself into it, like your mind made you believe you were there. To this day, I still don't understand what happened. Was my memory wrong? Or did something happen that night? Something that didn't belong to this world? It was from this incident that I started getting deeply interested in the supernatural, especially the mysteries of memory. Does the human brain just respond to objective reality, like catching a falling glass before it hits the floor? Or is memory something that can be implanted or altered? What if the glass never fell at all and your brain just told you it did? If memories can be planted, who or what is doing it? And why? And if Maggie's memory was somehow altered, why erase me from that night and only me? Feel free to share your thoughts in the comments.